Welcome everybody to tonight's epic episode of the Neighborhood Watch, in which you are going to feast along with the three of us on all things Pennywise. Yes. As this is our episode, It. Here with my co-host, Dr. K, of course, my co-host, yes. Peter Venkman.
Hello, everybody.
On my right, and our special guest, Mr. Corleone.
Corleone. Thanks for having me on, guys.
Of course. We're so stoked to have you here with us tonight.
Yes.
As we dive ass deep into it. So viewers tonight, listeners, depending on if you're watching us on the boob tubes or you're listening to us on any of our other awesome podcast providers, we're going to do it all. So the impetus of the idea here is obviously you're going to probably hear this in a week. The three of us went and saw It Part 2.
Chapter 2.
Chapter 2. Thank you. Mr. Venkman. This last week on opening weekend, right? So we said, F it, man. We got to do it. Yeah. So we're going to do everything. We're doing the book, we're doing the miniseries, and we're doing both of the 2017 and 2019 sequel to It. All things It.
It's a super
episode. It. This might end up running 3 hours long, in which case this will be part 1. Yeah. But otherwise,
it's okay. We can do it.
We'll see how it goes.
We'll see how it goes. We should get rolling. So, where to start, guys? Where to start?
Well, I'd just like to say now that I just had the Wikipedia page open up.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Because this is how we do our homework here. We do some deep
After
dives.
We push record. Yes.
Yep, we do the real research. Yes. But I was just blown away. Just one of the first sentences here. It says, "It was American author Stephen King's 22nd book."
Can you believe that?
I can't.
It's insane,
he spits them out.
But
really
I mean,
fast.
It is. Yeah.
like that was
1986.
1986.
Yeah.
And he started writing in like 78, 79.
Yeah.
He did 22 books in how many years is that? That's less than 10 years.
Mountains of cocaine.
Be curious to see what number he's at now.
Yeah.
Oh, he's got to be in the 80s, right? 80s or 90s, or
easily.
And if you count all the short stories, right? I mean, usually we talk about those as collections, but
God,
I mean, it's freaking prolific.
Guy.
Yeah. He's interesting, right? Because there's always so much like kickback from like academia, because I think generally everybody understands he's going to be the most important writer of the 20th century.
Oh, for
bar
sure.
none.
For sure. I mean, already people are saying he's Charles Dickens.
Yeah, right. Or Mark Twain, right? I mean, the great American writer.
Think how much he's influenced.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
Just books, not even movies.
I mean, and
exactly.
You've got your finger on it there, Mr. Corleone. It's
true.
For how many ridiculous, and how importantly he is in literature, probably better than any other writer. How many movies I mean, me and Peter tried to figure this out one time. It's like 30, right? 30 or 40 of his books have been turned into movies, miniseries, TV shows, something else. And that, man.
And I mean, with the way Hollywood's going, is they'll remake these.
The
ones that didn't do good, they'll remake them. The ones that did do good, they'll remake them. They'll live on forever, essentially.
Yeah.
The Langoliers is going to get remade.
Yeah, I know. Oh God, it should. They need to update that one. I mean, so it's cool. I think and this is kind of exciting too, because we have mentioned Stephen King a lot in our show, but I don't think we haven't tackled anything Stephen King yet, have we?
Right. Well, The Shining.
We have done The Shining.
We did The Shining.
That's true.
You guys haven't done like Carrie.
But I always think of The Shining as Kubrick's, though.
I know,
It's almost like he took it from King,
That's the
thing. Well, I mean, that's
but
kind of true, because if I remember correctly, he changed a lot of stuff.
Absolutely.
King wasn't super happy with it at the time.
No,
I remember hearing that.
Not at all.
No.
There's a fantastic, he's doing a talking event at some college, and he's speaking exactly on that topic. And it blew my mind. It was so cool to see his insight, and it's very casual, right? Yeah. It's kind of like he's up there, and he's it's one of the things that somebody asked, and you're just like, oh dang, they were on two opposite sides of a coin.
No one's telling Kubrick what to do.
Oh no, absolutely, that was the thing, right? Kubrick was asking him like, why does it end this way? And King gave him his reason, and Kubrick's like, no, fuck that. Yeah. And he does the exact opposite.
Yeah, it's like two.
And then they're like,
two complete philosophies about life, even too.
Right.
Two completely different, right?
Yeah.
So it's cool that we get to talk about Stephen King a lot now today, because for
man.
me too, I'd like to know for each of you guys, like, because for me, Stephen King was really important growing up. Not so much now. I'm kind of over my Stephen King phase.
Yep.
But man, high school, even early college, I was just burning through those things. Even I was thinking, I brought the paperback novel.
You did.
God,
of
it's
it.
thick.
And yeah, freaking 1,200 pages long, right? I think I was reading this thing in 6th grade. You know, were you one of those guys too?
Oh,
like,
absolutely.
Like you would see certain kids like passing this around, you know, in middle school.
Yep.
And everybody's just like, oh God, you know,
yeah,
there's like sex in it, you know, like kids having sex,
right?
Kids killing each other, like there's a clown eating you know, it's like people would just, you know, like especially the older kids too would just fill your head with all this bullshit about like, oh God, you're not ready for this, you know? And, and so I mean, it's like it's such a huge important part of my life. What about you guys though? Like, how did you get introduced to Stephen King? Corleone.
Not trying to bring it back, but it was the movie, the TV movie, It.
Oh man, dude.
The original Tim Curry Pennywise.
That is great.
That's when you first was like, this is Stephen King.
Yeah, and then you know, after watching that, you hear he's done like Carrie and The Shining.
Name it, Salem's Lot. I mean, there's just a million of them. Yeah. Maximum Overdrive.
But I remember watching that TV series like with friends of mine as younger, and I still have friends now that are like deathly afraid of clowns because of what Tim Curry.
There's an entire generation. Between John Wayne Gacy and then that miniseries and book, it was like, oh, dude, clowns were done.
Yeah,
you know, all
that's
that.
it.
Yeah,
like,
Ronald McDonald was hurting.
Yeah, totally. Well, it's funny you mentioned that too, because I was just watching this thing and they said those were the 3 influences for Pennywise was John Wayne Gacy or no, is it Ed Gein? I can't remember now. One of the serial killers that
no, it was Gacy. Gacy was the one who dressed up like a clown.
Yeah.
And had the ice cream truck and all that shit. Yeah.
And Ronald McDonald.
Yes. Yep. Oh, totally. Visually, I mean, he's bozo. He's Ronald McDonald.
Yep.
Yeah, he's got the red hair and the white skin and all that. Yeah. Oh,
it's just terrifying.
Fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah, like I don't think after that, like the whole thing of like hiring clowns for birthday parties and stuff.
Right.
Somewhere out there, it'd be fun to get statistics to see like after that movie, like how down that went.
Yep.
Birthday party clown.
Yep.
Had to drop the makeup, right? They all had to go. Yeah.
It's like Jaws and the
Mr.
beach,
Noodle.
right? How many people didn't go to the beach years after?
Man.
Right.
Totally.
Right.
I was just telling my son this because he wants to see Jaws.
Yes.
And I had a drawing professor who was from Florida. Right? And she was in her 30s when she told us this story. And she said, even now to this day, I can't swim in the ocean because of that fucking movie.
Yep. I'm there. I'm right there.
Yep.
And I was telling my son in different language. I was telling him,
yes,
you know,
you should wait.
Just remember that you got to be ready for this movie because it can make a lasting impact on you.
Really? And I mean, that's funny because we were just at the beach with all our kids and they were all in the water. They're all over the place.
Yeah.
You don't want it to be like, hey, let's go to the beach. And like, no, I don't go in the water.
I'd have so much anxiety just watching people I knew in the beach. Like,
yeah. Cool.
But let's bring it back to you now. When was your
for me, it had to be Firestarter. It was good that we got to talk about because I had to think about it. But I'm pretty sure that was the first time I was aware that, hey, I just watched this movie and there's this guy Stephen King and he's super important for some reason.
Yeah.
But I remember that and Cujo.
Yeah,
I'm glad you mentioned that.
This is a funny story, right?
Oh God, Cujo.
I saw Cujo before I'm 10 years older than my brother, so I probably saw Cujo about when it maybe 1985 or 86. So I was 7 or 8 years old, you know. Yeah. And that was like terrifying. Yeah. Because big dogs are scary all by themselves.
Yeah.
Right. And then you're watching this foaming mouth, freaking gigantic beast of a dog.
Yeah.
But so my brother watches it. This is probably like 1990. Let me think, 3 or 94. My cousin and my brother and my cousin, who are the same age, watch Cujo and become obsessed with it. My grandma buys a new dog who's like this little Pomeranian lap dog. And she's asking all the grandchildren what to name it, and they talk her into naming her dog Cujo.
Best name ever. Best name ever. Bro.
I couldn't believe that she said yes, and then she has this dog for like 15 years, and it's just like a sweet little lap dog.
Did she know what Cujo was before? Okay. That's even better.
But this is like my two little my knucklehead brother and knucklehead cousin were just like railing on her, like, "Oh, you gotta name him Cujo! Look at him, he's little Cujo."
That's awesome.
But yeah, but when I fell in love, it was definitely at junior high. You know, I think speaking for Dr. Venkman, we were in 7th grade, I think, when it came out, right?
That
Or the
sounds
summer going
about
into
right.
7th grade.
That sounds about right. Yep.
And man, dude, I was nuked. That movie, I couldn't believe that something that scary was on TV.
Yeah.
That's the weird part.
It wasn't a rated R movie, you know.
People forget that because a lot of people just assume that was in theaters. That was like a two-part TV movie.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Which makes it even better because it's so long. You know, it's after you take the commercials out, it's still 3.5 hours long. So,
just imagine watching that with commercials though.
Oh no,
that's
4
like the
hours.
whole night.
Yeah. Yep.
Man.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, Stephen King, man.
Yeah.
Like what? You know, here's the thing. That guy he's a genius. You know, you have to say it. I mean, he really is a genius, whether you love him or hate him.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I mean, this Lord of the Rings. We were talking about it after we were walking out of seeing chapter 2.
Yeah.
We were talking about how, you know, in a weird way, like our parents' generation had Lord of the Rings as like that was kind of like a big cultural kind of novel for everybody, and like
Tolkien and
you know,
C.S. Lewis
how old were you when you read Lord of the Rings and all this stuff? And in a weird way, like it is almost like that for our generation, I think, where it's like it has that same kind of epic quality and that same kind of like everyone is either aware of the book and they've either read it or haven't read it, but everybody knows what it is.
Right.
Now, especially with the movies.
And page for page, it's longer than Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, right.
You know,
but even it
just
has
in volume.
and it has
bigger.
that same kind of shape though too.
It
You know,
does.
where it's like,
oh man,
you know, like like there's this scene. You know, Lord of the Rings is Mines of Moria is now you're in the Mines of Moria. That's my favorite part. You know, and then in it you've got the same kind of like set pieces. You know, it's like.
Well, instead of Middle Earth, it's Derry.
Yeah.
Right? It's a world building, but on a smaller scale, you know? And that's what I think I liked about it so much, because I hated the town that I grew up in. And so for me, Derry was Bakersfield.
Yeah.
Oh.
Always. Because it's I was fascinated, absolutely fascinated with the fact that it's a coming of age story and everyone but Mike leaves.
Yes.
Right? They're all like, and I love it because it's not really ambiguous, but you understand that they had to leave.
Yeah.
They couldn't stay, right? Because even though they kind of bury all the stuff in their emotions and try to forget about it, there's something bigger going on.
Yeah.
And that all had to do with this journey of them all leaving, becoming highly successful.
Yeah.
And then having to come back.
Yeah.
Right? And I feel that way. Like every time I go back to Bakersfield on vacation to see relatives, I'm like going back to Derry.
Yeah.
It's exactly what it feels like. And you go and you look around and you're like,
yeah.
I feel like Richie. Like, okay, it's time to go. We came and now we got to go.
I know that exactly.
I'm not going to stay here. Sorry. I love all you people, but I got to get out.
Yep.
You know?
I know exactly what you're saying.
And so I think I related to a lot of the themes that were going on.
Yeah.
And then I love, too, that it's I compared this story a lot to Ray Bradbury's Something Wicked This Way Comes.
Yes.
It's totally a coming-of-age story. This one even maybe is a little bit better because there's a girl in it too, right? It's not just boys, but it's Bev, the character of Bev, whereas Something Wicked This Way Come, it's 2 boys, but it's definitely like how you're a kid, but then you get introduced to the horrors of the world, and then how do you like cope and internalize all that stuff?
Oh man, next time I pass through Bakersfield, I'll be a little bit more sketchy.
Yeah.
Just stay on 99 and don't get off.
Well, you know, it's interesting.
Go to Shafter. Yeah.
It's interesting you say that because I feel the same exact way too. I had a hometown called Albert Lee, Minnesota, and then even when I was in high school, it was Anoka, Minnesota, and it's like, for whatever reason, you know, and I never fit in. You know, I never fit in. And these kids also, they never fit in there.
Totally.
They were the losers.
They're
the
losers.
loser club, right?
Yeah.
And I definitely, you know, had a hard time just fitting into the whatever was going on there. And so I had to leave too, you know, and I think that's kind of what happens is like if you're comfortable and you love it there, then why leave? Right. But most people, I think they have some kind of thing where it's like, I got to get out. You know?
Well, especially artists too. I don't want to. Obviously, I mean, you're a professional artist, and although I don't make any money, I've been a musician for 30 years. You know, and I think I can't speak for Albert Lee, but Bakersfield is where artists go to die and be forgotten about, because not only was it very difficult to be a successful person in the arts there, but you don't get in. There's no support. There's
Yeah.
absolutely no support system
Yeah.
for it.
Yeah.
If you're not in the oil industry and you're not in agriculture, good luck.
Oh
Yeah.
wow.
Good luck being there, because
Yep.
that's what's going on.
Yep.
And that town, I hate to be picking on all of our listeners here, and I feel sorry for you, but I'm sympathetic. I lived there for almost 22 years, but it's not conducive to the arts unless you play country music and you want to sound like Dwight Yoakam or what's his name, Buck Owens. Then you might have a chance. But
Right.
yeah.
Yeah.
Because then you go up to cities like Seattle, and
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
like cradle their artists.
Yeah, and Portland too. I mean,
Portland
for that
too,
matter,
yep,
I mean, Portland it's competitive here if you want to be an artist, because there are this is a haven for it,
Yeah.
you know, here in the Northwest. But at least you have support everywhere. You know, it's just, I think it's probably the competition level goes up because I'm speaking more as a musician, but man, if you want to play a show, you can play a show anywhere. Getting people to show up, good luck.
Yeah.
Because they're going to be like, oh, well, let's see what 20 bands are all in town tonight.
Yeah.
And why am I going to go see you local guys?
Right.
You know?
Right.
Or why am I going to go to your venue when you're playing some small rat hole when I can go to the Doug Fir and it's super cushy and you know,
Yeah.
I can pay $5 to get in the door and see something cool.
Yeah. There's different kind of pluses and minuses.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
But definitely, yeah. I mean, one of the things that epitomizes it for me, I always remember one of my friends, his dad. I remember drawing. You know, I was at my friend's house and I'm drawing this. I don't know if it was the Hulk or something like that. And this like really epitomized the attitude there that you had to deal with. You know, and his dad was, you know, he worked at a factory or whatever. He had a truck. You know, drank beer all the time, and you know, nothing wrong with that. But he's looking at me and he goes, "That's really good." And I'm like, "Thank you." And he goes, "But why are you doing it?"
Oh, that's sad.
Like, what's it for?
He's
just like, what's it for? Like, he was honestly like,
so foreign to him.
yeah, like he couldn't,
Yeah.
like, and I was just like, and my high school brain couldn't, I couldn't even form the words to like try to explain to him what art was, you know?
Yeah.
So
That's
I'm like,
sad.
but like that, you deal with that every day, you know? It's like, why are you doing that though? Like, where is it going to go? You know? And you're like, well, it's in my sketchbook because I wanted to draw, you know?
Yeah.
Like, I can't explain it to you.
I mean, that's kind of how they portray it for the kids in Derry.
Absolutely, it is. Absolutely.
They got to get out of there because
yeah.
horrible.
And I love the idea too that they put a face to it. So this is the whole thing about Pennywise, right? Why I think Pennywise is so terrifying is that in this story there actually is a bigger evil, right? It's not like what Peter and I are talking about, where it's you live in this town and it just sucks, right? Derry, there actually is a bigger prevalent monster that has infected everything, you know, and people don't want to admit to it. That's the other thing I always thought was so Bakersfield, man. So the town I grew up in is considered widely, it's the armpit of Bakersfield, right? So if you look at California, right, where the big kink is in the middle, that's right where Bakersfield is. The sign for it in American Sign Language is you wipe your armpit, and that means Bakersfield.
Oh, man.
So the problem is that growing up there, you have to put your blinders on because LA just fucking rips Bakersfield a new one, right? Yeah, it's like that's the shitty part, and we can laugh about it. But everyone who lives there, it gets totally butthurt about it, right? And so there's this idea that you can't face up to the horrors of where they are because then you're being critical of the people around you. Yeah, and that's it. Yeah. That is so it, right? Yeah. Like all these murders are happening, and they really put their finger on it and gave dialogue to it in part 2. But they're like, why is it that Boston isn't picking this up, right? When I forget who it is, one of them is talking to Mike on the phone, right? It's like, well, wait a minute, I didn't see anything in the news, and he goes, no, that's not how it works. Yeah, right. The Boston Globe won't report. Yeah. I forget what Portland, Maine. He's like, they won't say anything. Yeah. You'll get a 2-second blurb about somebody died, right? Because there's this like that's Pennywise controlling everything, right? Pennywise has his big super evil is to make sure that people aren't looking at him, right? Because he's got to eat a bunch of people and
but it's also like in the book, I think it's a lot more clear too that that Penny, it's like this symbiotic relationship between Derry and Pennywise.
Absolutely.
Like he's there because the people are evil though too.
That's right.
And then
That's right.
and then he makes them more evil,
Yep.
and then he feeds off of their evilness, and then
Yep.
they bring, you know, and it's like it's just like back and forth, and
Yep.
until it's just this nest of
Right.
evilness. You know?
Right.
I've always liked it in horror movies when they do that,
Yeah.
where they like have the environment be another type
Oh,
of evil.
absolutely.
Like one of my favorite
It's its own
movies is
character.
The Thing, right?
Yes.
The environment there is like claustrophobia.
Right.
So on top of all this, you have that
Yep.
to deal with.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's
Just-
the environment is a character.
Makes the
Yes.
anxiety of like
Yep.
of it just that much better.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah, they definitely in part 2. Sorry about all the spoilers, people. If you haven't watched
Oh yeah.
part 2 yet, we're going to be spoiling it every which way but loose.
Yeah.
But one of the things they did in part 2 I thought that was great, which was straight out of the book, was having the climax start when the gay couple gets mugged by the like town ruffians, which is like, that's just word for word
That's straight.
exactly how it was in the book,
Yep.
right? Because that wasn't Pennywise directly doing that, but it is Pennywise doing it, right?
Yeah.
And then when the guy gets thrown over the bridge, obviously Pennywise just pulls him out of the river and eats him.
Yeah.
But that brutality and everything is how Derry and Pennywise become interlocked in their how nasty.
Going
they are.
back to like what you said, you know, like Pennywise is the ultimate evil there,
Yeah.
but this place is already pretty nasty,
Yeah.
Right.
even before he shows
Yeah,
up,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Right.
Well, and that's really cool too. Like I'm really glad that they put that scene in this
Yeah.
movie because
Intense
that
to
wasn't in the
watch.
1990 version.
it wasn't.
right?
No.
And it's so interesting that
I don't
you
think
know-
it could have been with two gay guys.
Yeah.
You know,
Oh, right.
having a kind of a prominent part.
right.
TV
But
wasn't
it's
ready for
funny
that,
to
but-
think though that like that was you know, so that was the late 80s when he wrote that,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
And like just rampant homophobia everywhere.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
But even now 30 years later,
Yep.
it's like you can do that in a scene in a movie and it's very believable
And it
because it's
totally
like
works.
it's still like that a lot all over the world, you know.
Yeah.
So
I mean, as tough as the scene was to watch in a way, like I do like that they put that in there.
Yeah.
It really, right off the bat, nails home
Yeah.
what Derry's like before.
Right.
For sure. Exactly.
Right.
Yeah. So that was pretty good. And well, let's go back to so you, Mr. Corleone, you haven't read the book, right?
No.
So and a lot of people haven't because it's freaking
it's a
1,200
beast.
pages long.
Yeah, it's a beast.
One of those things I need to go back and do.
It is pretty great. Like I revisited it like last year or the year before, and you were reading it too, or you had just finished it or something, right?
Yep,
And I was
yep,
like,
yep,
I
yep.
should read that again too. And it's one of the things that's great about it is it's like every 2 pages is a chapter.
That's
kind of,
right. The
It's just
pacing is perfect.
There's
for
a
how big it
billion
is.
chapter breaks in
Yep.
this thing, so like it's
Yep.
so easy to just like I'm gonna read a little chunk and then put it down.
Yeah,
I'll read a little
it's
chunk,
4
put it down.
parts, right? It's like
Yeah.
part 1, part 2, part 3, part 4, and then each one has like 50 chapters.
Oh,
in
it's just
it.
all cut up.
So the
right?
pacing is like listening to music.
Yeah.
It just rolls.
But
Yeah,
one of
it's-
the reviewers was saying that it's like potato chip syndrome.
Oh.
You know, where it's like you start to eat one,
Yeah,
and you got to eat
yes.
another one, and you got it, and it totally does that to you. Like pretty soon you're just
you
like
read
sucked
200
in.
pages
Yeah,
like it was nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I should read it because one of the things I do want to work myself up to is Stephen King's Dark Tower, where it's
Oh,
all
yeah.
connected.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Which again, if we're talking about Stephen King, genius
Absolutely.
right there, right?
Absolutely.
Connecting it all.
He's
This-
got his own giant world. that
This
things
is
fit
what's so
into.
crazy though. It's like like for a writer to have one work like it
Yeah,
in their career,
right.
you know,
Right.
but he just keeps doing these huge, epic, hugely ambitious projects.
Yes.
You know, The Stand is another one.
Sure.
It's just incredible, you know. Dean Koontz doesn't have anything on this guy. I'm sorry.
Poor Dean. Speaking of Dean, he has his cameo in the miniseries, right?
He does.
Where so when Bowers is locked up and he's an adult, right?
Yeah.
And Pennywise is talking. Pennywise's face is in the moon.
Yeah.
And he's talking to him, and Pennywise is like, "Hey, you know, I gotta get you out of here."
Yeah.
And then Bowers goes, "No, man." He's like, "Kuntz is on the door today, man, and Kuntz is the worst."
Oh man,
Such a straight jab.
That's awesome.
at Dean Koontz
That's
by
awesome.
the filmmakers,
Yeah.
and you know, because they pulled the line straight out of the book. But
Yeah.
it's awesome, right?
Speaking of
great.
cameos, did
Yeah.
you guys like Stephen King's cameo?
Oh, it's
Yeah.
great,
So-
dude.
It
It was
was
awesome.
good.
Yeah, is the
He-
pawn shop owner?
Yeah. He was
Fantastic.
actually, that was one of his better performances. I think.
Definitely,
Yeah.
definitely. More lines too. It wasn't just like a walking by cameo
Yeah.
type of
Yeah.
thing.
Grumpy
actually.
old man.
Yeah,
I loved
yeah,
it.
yeah.
I loved every minute.
Yeah, that's right up there with his creep show Moss Man guy,
Yes.
the farmer.
Oh, that's one of the best. Yeah, he's got like no lines,
Yeah.
which is awesome.
He's, like,
He's the only
super young
character
there,
in
right?
it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's him turning into Moss Man.
Yep. I love it.
From a meteorite.
Yeah.
I do like the fact though that he's kind of the pawn shop owner that gives
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Bill
Gets
his bike back, because the bike is super
silverback.
Yeah.
Yeah.
at least from the I haven't read the book, but at least from
Yeah.
the old series, the bike was like super important.
Oh,
big time.
in the book too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep. It's one of those things. It's one of those important things that ties everybody back together, right? The original miniseries, they show the part where the bike, where Bill is talking about why the bike was so important. It's because when Stan goes and sees, what does Stan see? A mummy?
Yeah.
In the movie, I think
yeah.
he sees a mummy, but it's different.
was
in
it a
the
werewolf?
Book.
No, that's
No,
somebody
that's,
else.
That was Richie.
Richie
Yes.
sees the werewolf,
Yeah.
and Eddie sees the
The leper. Yes.
and Stan's.
I think it was the
I think it's the mummy, right? But anyway, so Bill's
Yeah.
riding his bike by, and then
Yeah.
Stan comes hauling ass out of wherever he was at, the
Yeah.
church, or it wasn't the Nebolt Street house.
because they changed the mummy to that picture lady.
Yes.
Yeah, that was cool.
Yeah,
That
that
was
was. That was.
She has a name, I forgot now, but
Yeah.
they call her something.
She totally looked like something out of The Conjuring. That was like
yeah.
very
Oh, yeah.
stylistically,
Yes.
like that came out of that world,
Yep.
you know?
Yep.
That was terrifying.
Oh yeah, dude, that effect
I
too
know.
of the way like her face and her body would move
Yeah.
independently of each other was kind of shape shifty and
Yeah.
As
And all
soon-
stretchy and.
Yeah.
As soon as she's
Yeah,
not in
yeah.
the picture anymore and he hangs it up, I was like, oh, get out of there.
Yep.
downhill.
Not good. Yeah.
Oh, yep.
Yeah, that was smart. There was a lot of little decisions like that where
Yeah.
they were just like really smart. You know, they're just choices.
Yeah.
And in a lot of ways, it's like, yeah. It's
Oh,
like,
dude.
you know.
Okay, so here's. Thank you. One of my favorite ones is that for how important the line that Tim Curry gives about "we all float down here."
Yeah.
We all float.
Yes.
Right. You would never get that when you watch the rest of the movie because they're in a spider web.
Yeah.
Doesn't make any fucking sense.
Yeah.
Like, why does he keep saying
Yeah.
we all float?
Yeah.
In this movie,
Yeah.
in the new movies, holy shit, yeah,
Yeah.
you get down in his lair and
they're
everybody's
all
floating. That's
floating,
what he's
yeah.
talking
And it
about.
makes
You know,
sense.
all the bodies up there floating
But
in a
in the
circle.
book, it was they're floating in the
That's
sewers. They're just
right.
floating in
Right,
the water.
Right.
You know,
Which
so
again,
yeah.
makes sense.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Which I mean, he does. Tim Curry is mentioning the balloon, right?
Yeah.
Because the little brother Georgie says, "Oh, did they float?"
Yeah.
He's like, "Yeah, we all float.
We all
float
float."
too."
Yeah.
Pulls his arm off, right? But I thought that was super slick in this new one in part one.
Yeah.
Where when they get down there and see the layer for the first time, they're kind of like, "Oh
Yeah.
shit, man! All
That
their
was-
bodies are like floating
Yep.
in the well, right?"
That
It's
was
the,
really
the Nebolt
creepily
well.
Love that.
done. Yeah.
And I love the fact that if you look closely in that scene, you'll get a bunch of stuff that he's been doing it for so
That's
long.
right.
Like I've just collected there.
Yes.
And he brings from like
oh, that
dolls
big old
to-
heap of like garbage that's there.
Yeah.
It's like it's everything he's not eating. He's just kind of like,
It's
just drags
insane.
that
That
shit
was
down.
great. I mean,
Yeah.
it's things like that when you go back and watch it, you pick them up and you're like,
Yes.
oh, that was nice
Yeah.
Easter egg right
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
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 That really made me think too, because he's not a person, right? I mean, he's a freaking he's an it. He's a creature, and I love the fact that he's always pretending to be something else.
Yes.
And I thought that big heaping pile of crap is like part of how he figures out like how do humans work, because that's one of the things I think Bill Skarsgård did particularly well was when the kids when they're trying to like push back on him, and he would just stop and like kind of like
he didn't
because
understand.
he didn't understand. He was
Yeah.
trying to figure out like, well, how am I supposed to respond to that?
Yeah.
And that's when I thought that was really good on the director and the actor's part
Yeah.
of showing you he's not actually a clown.
Yeah.
He's some freaking monster, right?
That was way.
Nice, yeah.
And whereas Tim Curry, he's really way more. He's like that freaking clown. Right?
Yeah, come on, kids. Yeah, he's got
Yeah,
that
yeah.
whole like.
You got Prince Albert in a can. You better let him out.
Yeah.
Oh, that seems so good. Richie goes and pukes. Oh man. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah,
Ah,
he's just messing with
Tim
him.
Curry.
Yeah. But he's
Speaking
like
of
that,
which-
like traveling clown.
Oh
kind of
man,
thing.
right? Yeah, Chicago, the
Yeah,
Chicago
yeah,
accent.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think I mentioned it after we watched the movie, but
Yeah.
like Tim Curry is a clown, right?
Right.
He's like
without
the
a
old
doubt,
school
yeah.
clown.
Yeah.
And we talked about it before, where I feel like Bill Skarsgård's clown is like the nightmare fuel from people who watched
Yep.
the Tim
Yeah,
Curry,
that's
right?
That's a really
you
good-
so had your finger on it.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's a really
Yep.
good character.
He's definitely like the portrayal of what people took away from Tim Curry
Yes.
and made their nightmares essentially.
Yeah.
And speaking of nightmare fuel, I think there's so many great effects, especially in chapter 2. I think.
Yeah. Yeah,
the effects were already good in the 2017 one, but man, they just ramped it up,
dude. Totally.
Some of the best effects I've seen. Period.
Totally. Well, let's go through. What were some of the?
What I was gonna say for my nightmare fuel, and I still can't get it out of my head, was that freaking old lady.
Oh, that was a good one.
Right.
And she's getting all naked back there and moving around all weird, and then she just comes rushing out. Just, I mean, that's like
stretched out.
Yeah,
like
And
Mr.
she's way
Fantastic.
bigger than you thought.
Yeah.
Like you're not expecting that.
Right.
That's like making the hairs on my neck go up, because it's just that's like straight out of a nightmare that I've had that nightmare before. You know?
Yeah.
Like that kind of thing.
And then you wake up and you're all sweating like, oh god.
Yeah. And you're just like, that's impossible. Like why is that scary? But it's so scary when you're in it. And like they captured that feeling with that.
Oh,
you know?
They did. I love the creep out with her too. Is that just like I think they did it really good too in the miniseries, but in this one. Like when she answers the door, she's a nice old lady. Yeah. But then each time that they go back to her, she's getting weirder and grosser. Yep. And like you see the sores on her chest, and she's not wearing a bra. You know, and it's just like,
she's
it's
like
getting more
sipping her
disturbing.
tea all weird.
Yeah.
Did you guys love the fact though, again, chapter 2 here.
Yes.
After Bev gets out of the house, we see the house for what it really is.
Yes,
it's
absolutely.
like an old deserted building.
Yeah.
But when she first gets there, it looked like she remembered it.
That was straight up from the miniseries, the exact
so
same thing.
good.
Where she runs out, and it is her old house, but it's just like derelict, totally run
boarded
down,
up.
and then it's like,
I love that.
Yeah.
One of the things that was really different though too from the miniseries and the book was the character of freaking Bill's wife Audra.
Yep.
She doesn't show up at all.
That's right.
No.
She was
She was a big part, and like so.
Yes.
And I feel like it
really
worked.
part,
it worked without her.
Yeah.
Like it was fine, but like remind me again how chapter 2 ended.
Yeah.
Because there wasn't the bike scene.
Nope. Nope. They didn't go with that at all. And I think this is an interesting thing too, because this is where the book, the miniseries, and the movies all are different.
They're all different.
They're all different. So they didn't. Neither the miniseries nor the two movies went with what the book did. And they pretty much totally abandoned Audra's character altogether.
Yeah.
But then they also didn't go with the weird sex scene. Everybody,
right,
all the
that's what I
kids
was
having
gonna
sex,
say.
and then Bill and Bev have sex when they first meet each other in the book.
Yeah.
Even though Bev ends up marrying Ben.
Yeah.
When they first both get to town, they're like, oh, we gotta go, and then they go and do it.
That's right.
And then because he's having all, and it works really good in the book because you're in Bill's head about the whole thing, right?
Yeah.
And he's like totally just fucking all over the place because he's married.
Yeah.
His wife is back on the movie set.
Yeah.
And, I always thought that was weird in the book though because he's not guilty about it at all. And I thought that was kind of against his character.
For sure.
So that's something they improved in the movies.
Misstep. So in the movies, I watched the Tommy Lee Wallace does a commentary on the first two, and that was one of the two things. He's like, we just weren't even going to do it.
Yeah.
He's like, all of that, didn't care about that. The other, and then especially
it was smart, I think.
The kids and the sex scene and everything. He's like, he's like, if we tried to do it, it'd be so stupid about what we could get away with.
I don't think they could adapt that to film.
Yeah, that's more of a book thing.
And have it be good.
Yeah,
no. So like, because you haven't read that scene, so but
I've heard about
you're aware of it.
I've definitely
right?
heard about it.
Right.
And so I was watching this like. It was like I forget the name of it now. It's like thugs recapping the book,
Yeah.
You see that?
Yeah.
Like Thugs Lit or something like that.
Yeah.
And he just gets to that part where he's like, and then she tells all the guys to drop trow.
That's the exact line. Yep.
And then he just shows the guy and he's just like, Steven.
Yeah. Come on. Come on.
And I was like, I guess it. What I've heard Stephen King say about that is that that was the connection between childhood and adulthood.
That's right.
Was the way they could stay connected by having sex that would connect all of the things for them,
Yes. Yeah. Not really. Yeah, the other thing no one would touch with the 10-foot pole was the ritual of Chud, which I thought was fantastic in part 2.
Yeah.
But in the book, that's that whole thing where it becomes totally metaphysical.
Oh, it's totally,
And it's like there's a giant, the Bill turns into a giant turtle.
Yep.
And it is like a giant demon, and they have to
bite
their tongues
because he gets possessed by the turtle from what I heard.
And
then
right? There's this whole
they never mention the turtle in the
movies. They don't
movies.
even talk about it. They don't even mention it.
That's because it just got so into
it got so
space.
crazy.
Yeah.
And that's where I think part 2 maybe was one of my favorite things they did. That in battle scene is fucking awesome.
That was incredible.
The spider looked great.
Yep.
And then, man, when his head opens up and you can see the actual it, which is those 3 spinning...
The deadlights.
The deadlights, yeah. Oh, dude.
I loved in the chapter 1,
so
though,
good.
where Bev sees it. Like,
Yes.
he holds her up,
Yes.
and then he opens his mouth, and you see him briefly.
Yeah,
It's
and
the
her
only
eyes
time
wide
you,
out.
It's
Yeah.
the only time you see it in
That's
that
right.
movie.
That's right.
He's got like
Absolutely
all
right.
those rows of teeth.
So
too.
good.
Oh,
Speaking of good CGI,
Yeah.
that was great. I thought.
Great.
Yeah.
Man.
Did you guys love the Pomeranian, though? I loved that.
Yes, that was actually pretty good.
Yeah.
Like, oh, well, that's what things you always joke about, right? Like, oh, it's gotta be less dangerous. I love that. The whole thing with the doors, right? Like certain death,
I'm glad they brought that
dangerous,
back from,
less dangerous.
from chapter 1.
Yeah. That's really good. Oh, that's another thing that was radically different with the miniseries, where the book and the new movies got it straight. So in the miniseries, to go back to 1990, for whatever reason, which I will never understand because Tommy Lee Wallace and the actors didn't talk about it, but in that version, Richie and Eddie are best friends. Which isn't what the book is, and that's not what they did in the new movie, right? It's
Richie and Bill.
It's Bill and it's Richie and Bill are the best friends, and then it's more like Eddie
and Stanley.
Eddie and Richie are kind of buddies,
Yeah.
whereas it's Stan and I think I said that wrong, right? It's Stan and Richie in the miniseries who are like best friends, which is what's his name from Robot Chicken.
Seth Green.
Seth Green.
Yeah.
And I don't know the actor who played Stan.
Yeah, it was
those
like
two are like the best
Hauser or
friend.
something.
Like here's the best friend thing, and then it's Bill and Eddie are the best friends, which wasn't at all.
I like in the new one how they kind
What
of team
it
up
was.
the 4 of them. You have
Right.
Bill, Richie,
Right.
Eddie,
Yes.
and Stanley, and then Ben's the new kid.
Yeah,
Bev
'cause
comes
Ben,
in.
Yep, and Mike is he's the kid who lives on the outside of town.
Yep. Doesn't go to
which made
school
way
with
more
him.
sense, right? You had the kind of the four buddies.
Yeah.
Well, and I liked how Stan,
Yeah.
it's funny how he's a pretty important character when they're kids.
Absolutely.
But he's gone right away once he commits suicide, and I thought that was kind of cool how in the 1990 miniseries,
Yes.
you open the fridge and then there's Stan's
It's
head
Stan's
there,
head.
So I was waiting for that in this new one. I was like, oh, how are they going to do Stan? Because I
Yeah.
like the actor that they got to be Stan too. He's in the new
The
Swamp
older
Thing.
Stan,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. He's in the new Swamp Thing show, which I don't know if you
Yes.
guys have seen.
Have
but
not
You
seen
were
it,
telling
heard
me
of it.
about it. I watched the first episode. with
It's
you, yeah.
great.
Yep.
It's great. I really like that actor. So I was
Yep.
like, dang, you lose him right away.
Yep.
But at least he's going to come back with his head in the fridge. But then they didn't. They used
They
the
didn't.
kid Stan,
Yep.
which I thought was kind of cool.
Yep.
I was like, oh, that's a kind of cool choice.
Yep.
It made him way more creepy.
Way more creepy.
And then he's like,
No, way
he's
more.
doing the
Yeah.
thing. He's growing things out of his
Gosh,
head.
dude,
What
when he
a-
turns into the thing
Yeah.
bug. Yeah.
What a good homage to that
Oh,
movie.
dude.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, this.
Yeah.
So this director is Manchetti. Is that his name?
Yes. That's it.
Eddie Manchetti or
Yep.
something like that. Yeah. He Rob Bottin. He this guy is a perfect example though of like somebody that has read the book, he knows the book, he's seen the miniseries, and then he's like yeah, we're going to do the book, but we're going to use the language of cinema to the
Yes.
full effect. Like,
Right,
we have all these other
you got
weapons
it.
to use.
Yep.
So, like, why not have Stanley's head grow legs and start running around all freakily?
Yes.
Yeah, I know that wasn't in the book. I know that wasn't in the miniseries, but we have the technology now to do that, and that'll be freaky, and, like, why not?
It was a great scene.
Yeah, and he's constantly doing choices
Right.
like that. He's like,
Right.
let's amp it up. Amp it up.
Speaking of him, he was in an interview I saw. When it comes out on DVD, he's gonna do a super cut, and he's gonna add all the stuff that like he couldn't for the movie to be theatrical.
Great.
Cool.
Great.
So you're gonna have a ton of more deleted scenes.
Mega cut,
Mega
yeah.
cut. Yep.
Awesome.
He's going to be Peter Jackson.
Yeah.
Yep. Right.
Nice.
Here's my 400 disc special edition.
Yeah.
7
Yep.
parts.
Yep.
Yes. That's Andy.
cool.
Andy Manchetti.
Yes, that's
Yeah,
it.
You
right.
got it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah.
Spaghetti Eddie.
Yes.
Yep.
Good stuff. And Eddie Bowers, right? I mean, talk about perfect casting
Yeah.
too. I think that might actually be I like that better in the movies than I did in the miniseries. I think they cast the kid the actor who played the kid,
Yeah.
killer.
He was great.
He's just a horrible. That actor played that terrible little kid, and then the guy who played the adult was great.
All the casting is like
Yep.
top notch. And in
Yep.
fact, if you watch the trailer for chapter 2, it's like they have to like show it, like shove it in your face, like look how good we are.
Yeah.
In the chapter, like in the trailer, it's like kid phases into adult in the trailer.
Yeah.
Right.
But
So good. So good.
the Bowers was great in this movie.
He was fantastic.
Yeah.
Both of them.
Yeah. Yeah, really.
Yep. So what did you guys think about the fact that there's no resolution with Bowers? Right? The last time you see him is when he's getting in the car and he's just like, see ya!
Yeah.
Gets in the car, and he's gone.
Yeah,
that's
that's
it.
kind of
right?
weird.
That's where I think the miniseries, they had to have resolution, right? So when he gets in the knife fight with, and in that's different too, right? So he gets in a knife fight with Mike in the miniseries, and he stabs Mike, and then
Mike goes to the hospital.
Mike holds the knife up and he falls on it, right? And
Yeah.
then Bowers dies.
Yeah.
But so you get kind of resolution in that at least he's gone.
I mean, he's dead in chapter 2. Remember, he got axed in the head.
Did he?
Remember, he like goes after Mike at the library.
Oh shit!
And
You're
it's
right,
Richie.
you're right.
Richie
You're
has
right.
the axe,
And Richie
like
axed him in the head.
last
yeah.
minute.
Oh, dude, I gaped out.
You're right.
Thank you.
That's
You're
okay.
right.
I
Vito.
just
Thank you.
that just came.
Yeah.
And then he's got that joke about like you're
That's right,
you're
yeah.
overdue or something.
Yeah, that's right. He drops a one-liner essentially.
Yeah.
That
That was awesome.
Oh,
Yeah, Bill Hader really.
Bill
owned
Hader
it.
was perfectly
He owned it,
cast.
yeah.
Yeah, perfectly.
He steals like every scene.
He
he's
really
in.
does, yeah.
Nothing against Bill Skarsgård or anyone
Right.
else, but
right.
I loved him on screen.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was
Yeah.
awesome.
Speaking of the ritual of Chud, though,
Yes.
I do like, and I don't know if this is similar to the book, I do like that it was almost a red herring in a way that it didn't work.
Sure. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Like they go all through this to get it going, and then
Yep.
Mike
And then
Mike ends up messing up on it essentially.
Yeah.
Well, you know
Cool,
what's
because he's not truthful about the fact that the everybody died, right? That was the whole part.
Yeah.
He's like, no, we don't. That doesn't have to happen. And then Pennywise is like laughing about it. He's like, what? He didn't tell you, did he?
Yeah. Well, it's funny in the book too because essentially they just all get high in the woods.
Yeah,
remember
right.
that? Like
That's right.
Like
Yep.
it's this like
Yep.
Native American
Yes.
ritual,
Yep.
and they just like sit. Are they like they're in their underground kind of little fort,
Yep.
but it just fills with
Yeah.
all this like basically marijuana.
They just have like a vision dream.
And then they have a vision dream and they're like sweating and stuff.
Yep.
I mean, man, it was the 80s, you know?
Yeah.
It was like sex, drugs, everything. Just throw it in there.
Yep.
But yeah. Well, so is there any parts that you just even the story, you're just kind of like, I don't like that. Like because we have a lot of positive things to say.
Right.
I will
jumps
pop
up?
out
Yeah.
one.
Yeah.
So it chapter 2, not that it was bad, but it did kind of like weird me out because if I was in this situation, I wouldn't have done this. But we learn in it chapter 1 that they're strongest together, the kids.
Yes.
That when they're separate, that's when he kind of can easily get them, and, you know.
Yep.
But yet when they come back as adults and they kind of know this, they go separated to go look for their
go
artifacts.
get
And I was
the
thinking, like,
trinkets,
if this was me, I'd be like, we'll just go all together.
Yeah.
Like,
right. Because you know you're going to get messed with.
Yeah.
I mean, like,
so like, and then like once it happens once or twice to each character, because we follow each character. Once it happens the first 2 times, I'm like, okay, well, it's going to happen to every character.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah,
it ends
has
up
to.
happening, which
It
is
has to, yeah.
fine. But like as
Looking
at it like in a directive way, like you know, it's whatchamacallit?
predictable.
Predictable,
Yes,
yeah.
You're right.
So that was kind of, I mean, as cool as the scenes were,
Right. You kind of
It
know
became-
once they set it up, now we're gonna have to.
It was like a
go with
formula
everybody.
then, right?
Yeah.
So-
That's a really good point because that's one of the things good horror should never be predictable, right?
That's right.
Because then you're just kind of like, okay, I'm just waiting for the next scary scene to happen. I know it's coming, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. What about you, Dr. K?
So I think my bigger beefs are it's a lot of stuff we've already talked about. So the 2 things in the story with the giant turtle and all that, I don't think that would. The reason they didn't do it is because it wouldn't work. You can't really get. I think it's giant and it's cosmic and it's you're pulling in a book you can pull your reader in a lot of different directions.
Yeah.
By going back and forth between things, but in a film you can't really do that.
Yeah.
you don't have as much time.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I think in the story, I could, whatever, leave that part. One of the things I think that I didn't like as much about the movies as compared to the miniseries. I think the miniseries spent more time specifically on character development, on seeing exactly where each of the adults was in the world.
Yeah.
And I felt like when we get to part 2, it's way more like Mike makes the phone calls and everybody shows up.
Yeah.
So fast
And
too.
that, I thought that's where I liked the miniseries better.
Yeah.
Because that took a long time to tell in the miniseries. Kind of the whole first half of part 2 is getting everybody there, and then once they're there, it starts to speed up, right?
Yeah. That's true.
And in part 1 too, because we see Stan dies. That's the whole thing. Stan dies right at the end of part 1, right? So they've already got that part knocked out in the first half. And that was very different. So one of the things I did really like about the movies was we don't see the adults in the first half. It was all the kids movie.
Yeah.
But then the part that suffers is in the second part. You're still having to reference back to the kids, and so the adult part doesn't get nearly as much screen time. Right?
It's true. Yeah. Well, that's a really good point because
it's the decisions that filmmakers have to make.
Yeah, and maybe when we get that mega cut, it'll be in there.
That could be it, right? You might, totally. We'll get an hour more of adult.
Because there's a lot of characters I feel like I would have liked to have seen more. Like, I know in the miniseries, it's a lot talked about, at least a lot more, is like Bev's abusive relationship.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
It was. You see him in the first part of the chapter 2, but then nothing ever really again. And I don't know. I always liked that character.
So you love the book then, because here's where the miniseries and the movies don't go anywhere near the book. In the book, it's her mom and her dad. She's an only child, and they both just neglect her. There's no none of this like
abusive,
the weird abuse, the weird sexual abuse and dominating dad. It's almost in the book the dad just won't even pay attention to her. And then the mom is like a stay-at-home drunk, right? And so there's like weird stuff like there's one part where she's like thinking back, or you're kind of with her, and her parents are having sex in the other room. It's just totally uncomfortable and gross, right? Like when they kind of show you like how Bev's house is. But that was totally different tin the book, because in the book none of them come from a broken household, but in both movies they made very specifically to have hers be the broken household, where it's just her and just her dad, right?
Like
everybody else has a mom and dad. And so I think that helped it in film, but that was totally different departure from the book,
for sure. And I think because I had watched the miniseries right before we went to see the movie, like a day before, and I felt that too, how the adults in the miniseries, they actually, because you spent more time with them getting there to the meeting, I don't know, there's some, and maybe it was just the way the actors played it and everything too, but they felt just more like this is how you would act it when you haven't seen somebody for 20 years, they acted a lot more like friendly, I guess, whereas the new movie it was like
great. The scene at the Chinese restaurant is awesome in the miniseries.
Jade of the Orient. Are you talking about in chapter 2?
Yes.
They nailed that. So good.
But in the movie I felt like they were just kind of like at each other's throats right away, and then they're all just kind of like, well, screw this, I'm going back home, this is dumb,
right?
And they do that a little bit in the miniseries, but there was just something where I just felt like they're not as connected as much as they were, and
I think Bill's character is very different in the miniseries than in the movie. In the movie he's kind of more of a loner. He's not really there to pull everybody together. It's totally Mike, right? In the movies, but in the miniseries it's Mike and Bill. Big time. Bill's like, hey, you guys made a promise. This is about Georgie. And he's trying to keep everybody together in the miniseries.
He's the leader.
Whereas in the movies, he just is like, I got to go follow this kid. I'm taking off. And poor Mike is like, no, don't leave.
Well, and that reminds me of, that was a part we all mentioned right after we saw it too, was that stuff with the funhouse. That was
they
a little bit
skipped all that.
As cool as it was. It didn't really advance the story.
No, it didn't. It kind of slowed it down a little bit.
It's kind of a sidetrack.
But
those are nitpicks.
Still a very good movie.
For sure. The miniseries actors though, because we haven't talked about John Ritter yet.
Oh, dude, we haven't talked about what's his name? Ricky Tozier. What's that actor's name? The dude from
Harry Anderson.
Harry Anderson. Yeah. I mean, they're all. That's funny too, right? Because they're all spectacular. Those are all like TV actors in their prime,
Yeah.
dude. Those guys were in everything.
TV actor royalty.
Tim Reed, he was on WKRP in Cincinnati and Sister, or one of those, some other 90s one.
Yeah. We promised Mr. Corleone that we would talk about Three's Company, so
yes.
Yeah.
Oh, Three's Company. Yes, John Ritter's
dying to hear about it,
right? Because he was in the Waltons first. He's in the Waltons
with John Boy too.
With John Boy, yes,
the guy that played Bill,
the actor who plays Bill.
Oh,
yeah. So they had a bit of history together already. Before it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. That was definitely that actor's main. What is his? That
was his bread and butter.
Richard no, that's Stan.
Yeah. Richard Mauser, right?
Richard Thomas, yeah.
Yeah.
Richard Thomas was in the Waltons in the early to mid 70s, and John Ritter, that was like his first break, was playing the Bible thumping evangelical cousin, who's like a totally despicable character, right?
Yeah.
He shows up and is like, "Oh, you're all living in sin. Come to my church and give me money." It's a great character, but he's a teenager in it, and then Three's Company is Pasadena swingers. I mean, that's the whole thing, right?
It's so good.
The premise of the story is that there's a chef who's John Ritter's character, and he needs somewhere to live. So he goes to an ad, and it's these two women who live in an apartment building in Pasadena. And
one's a blonde,
this will be great.
and one's a brunette.
We can all live together. Yeah. But the landlords, who are the Ropers, would never allow unmarried women and an unmarried man to live together. So they go under the premise that he's gay, right? Yeah.
And I know,
so if he's gay, that's okay then, because they're not having sex. Yeah. Even though Larry is a fucking swinger and has sex with 50 different women in every episode.
Isn't he like
downstairs?
Or which one is he?
Larry is the swinger.
Yeah,
the guy,
he's got
their
like
buddy,
the
who's got
curly,
like the super hairy chest and the lion-o hair, the brown lion-o hair, whose whole thing is like, I'm just going to have sex with all these different women.
That's his whole character. He just want to have sex all the time.
Yeah, that's all he was about. Which made it even better when Don Knotts came as Mr. Furley, right, to take over, because he wanted to be Larry.
Yeah.
Let's go do some coke, Larry. Boing.
I love it, but you gotta hand it to John Ritter, man, because he is such a great just comedic actor, with his timing. His
timing's perfect,
and he really was like Jim Carrey before we had Jim Carrey, like just the way he would do facial expressions and all that stuff. But then he can really pull off serious stuff too.
Oh man, that was great. Yep.
And like it really proved it. I mean,
Sling Blade, his character in Sling Blade, where he plays the gay boss of the mom, right? Mm-hmm. So there's like the boy and the mom, and anyway, at the grocery store, he was so fantastic in that. Yeah, and he put a bunch of weight on too. You hardly even recognize him. Man, talk about a fantastic character actor. Yeah.
I really wish he would have found better parts.
I know.
He was in a lot of dud movies.
TV shows
and a lot of TV, mostly TV. That was the thing. I think that entire cast, was mostly that really was like their bread and butter. Those were all just great TV actors.
Yeah, for sure. And they were like, well, this is as high as we're going to get, guys. A huge mega event mini series on ABC.
It was
television.
Essentially like the Avengers of TV, all getting
that's
together.
True.
Like,
that's really true.
Of their time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there was a great another great made for TV movie about Frank L. Baum, the writer of Wizard of Oz. And Frank Baum is played by John Ritter.
No kidding.
And his wife is Annette O'Toole, who is is Bev.
Man, so they really did kind of know each other all before this.
They're all friends.
Yep.
It's like a super group.
Yep.
It's like the Justice League of TV.
You know what's weird
personalities.
Though, too? I was just thinking about this though because you mentioned the guy Stan's actor's name, Richard Mauser, right?
Yes.
He was in The Thing.
That's right.
That's
right. He's
weird.
the dog handler.
Isn't that? I wonder if that's why they chose to make the Stanley's head do the thing as like a little. Maybe that was a little nod.
Because it is Stanley who he played Stanley. Yeah, dude. I bet you.
That's a weird little Easter egg.
You just
right?
figured it out. Yeah. I guarantee that's why.
There's no way that could be a coincidence.
Yeah, no way.
There's no way. What are the odds? Right?
Yeah. That guy went on to be the head of the Actors Guild, the union.
Oh shit.
The union head. Yeah, for a long time.
Wow.
Yeah, 20 years or something.
The head of the Actors Guild.
He
was a head in the movie.
Yep, and he was a head in the movie. Yes.
What are the odds?
Yes. And he wasn't the Thing in The Thing.
Yeah. He wasn't. He was the guy that was handling the dogs.
Yes.
Right? Yeah.
And you're like, oh no, it's definitely him. Wait a minute.
Man.
Oh, good stuff.
It's crazy. Everything's connected.
Yep.
You know? Yeah.
And then Tim Curry, of course. We gotta go on a Tim Curry rant.
Tim Curry.
Even though Dr. Venkman here isn't going to Comic-Con tomorrow, Vito and I are, and Tim Curry will be there. Although I don't think either of us are planning on standing in line for 5 hours to see him.
I would love to.
You will be
I would
there.
love to meet him.
Yeah.
You'll probably see him though. Like you can get up close.
That's what I'm hoping. Is just,
Maybe
just
we
to see him.
Maybe we can just like bum rush up there and get a picture with him in the background.
Dude, the freaking Pennywise line is going to be insane, I imagine, with the movie going off
that's
right
true.
now.
With the movie just coming out, I'm sure his line will be round the block.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But such a great, dude, I could talk about 5 hours about Rocky Horror.
Could have a whole show about just Tim Curry. Legends, Rocky Horror Picture Show, It.
Yes. The Worst Witch.
Clue.
Oh yeah,
Annie.
I actually love that movie.
Yeah.
Yes.
He's just awesome.
Yep. Owns Clue. We always harp on this, but dude, Clue is a Tim Curry's movie, right? You have all those actors. It's just a ridiculous cast in that, and he owns it. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Clue is great.
Yeah.
I love the fact that when they released that movie, they released different endings at different theaters around America. So like people were just like, "Oh, this is the ending of Clue. Did you see it?" He's like, "That's not what happened. You didn't see the movie."
Yeah.
Brilliant.
That's awesome.
I love on the DVD too that it's got every one of the endings.
Yeah.
And this is before the internet was a thing.
know,
So like
yeah.
this just happened.
Yep.
And people
That's
figured it out, right?
That's crazy.
Yeah.
One of the topics I actually wrote down is like how pros and cons. Tim Curry, Bill Skarsgård.
Sure.
Yeah,
Let's
yeah.
go. Yeah.
Well, can I just say, because I had a really strong opinion after I saw the 2017 Chapter 1.
Yep.
Where, because I was like, man, he's good. Bill Skarsgård is good.
Yes.
But they just covered him up with too much CG. Like, why can't I was still stuck on, like, I wanted to see a performance the same way I saw Tim Curry do a performance. And but then, by the time you get to Chapter 2, it's kind of like, okay, for whatever reason, the CG stuff really works with him. And I think they did give him a little bit more where you could actually just see his face and his facial expressions.
That scene where he's like putting on the makeup.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
In that Bev's house.
Yeah. So he was definitely, he shined a lot better in in Chapter 2 for me. So, because I was like, man, it's just like when somebody's going to play the Joker, like how are they going to compare to Nicholson or how are they going to compare to Heath Ledger, And so the same thing. It's like, how are they going to, how can they be as good as Tim Curry,
Yep.
But he holds his own.
Yeah, terrifying. I think that was that's what I think they both nailed was they had to be a terrifying thing. Oh. And Bill definitely has the advantage of his the enhancement to his performance. Now, I mean, they got every freaking tool, right? Yeah. That whole thing, I don't know how I'm going to explain this without a visual, but where he's doing the dance, where it looks like everything's on fire behind him.
In Chapter 1?
Is that in 1?
Where he's dancing in in the like little
traveling.
And
Richie refers back to it, right? In 2. Yeah. That one where it's just
it's great.
Oh, dude, it's visually just fantastic. It's just it's so creepy and bizarre looking. Whereas, just to use that as an example, Tim Curry, it was mostly practical. There was some good stop motion stuff that they did too. When he's down in the
when he sinks down to the sewer.
Oh yeah, gosh!
I'm a claymation guy now, bro.
Yes. Yeah. Or when he comes out of the shower, it's the school when he goes, hey, we're a little bit tight in here, Eddie. Let me make it more comfortable. And then he pops out. Yeah. And that's what they had money to do.
And at the time, that was like for TV, right?
Yeah, right.
That's TV. It's not even movie.
Right. Oh yeah.
That's just TV budget.
Yeah.
It's pretty great.
Yeah. Interesting too that there aren't hardly any optical effect in the original miniseries. It's mostly stop motion and practical, which I think was good because it could have suffered if they were trying to do animations.
Oh yeah,
over the top of it.
It would have
sucked far worse.
It would have turned into Cool World.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Yeah. So I think that was smart, but you definitely, you get more. Oh man, that flashback. It's not a flashback scene, but in the original miniseries, when Mike has the folder that he's got all of his photos in, where he's like, look, you know,
Yeah.
this happened and this happened, and then it just stops,
Yeah.
and then all of a sudden it starts moving.
Yeah.
And then you see the guy on the stilts doing the walking, and then you see Pennywise doing the little cartwheels, and then he runs up into camera.
And takes his hand
Brilliant,
out,
and
like,
that's
out of
and it's
the-
such an easy trick to do, where
Yeah.
you just make that in black and white, right?
Yeah.
But then he runs into camera,
So
and then when it cuts back, it's in color, and it's
Yeah.
like, oh,
yeah.
oh shit,
Yeah.
you know, really cool, and just very different compared to now when you can see through his head full of
man.
teeth and the freaking deadlight spinning and
Totally.
just over the top.
Or even just little things, how they played with the light, you know, when that little girl
Yeah.
under the bleachers was coming up. And it was just
yes.
all light, really. You know, you
Yes.
could just see his eyes glowing in
Yeah.
the dark there.
That
And
was such a chilling scene.
that was so,
Yes.
so
I
freaky.
thought for a second she was gonna make it out, and I don't know
Yeah.
why.
I know
Yeah.
it.
It's like they
Yeah.
mess with you. They give you like that hope that
Yep.
she's smart enough, she's gonna
Yeah.
get out.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
And that was really one of the best scenes with him, because you could really... You got a long time with that character
Yes.
there, where he's
Right.
trying to act all sweet and innocent, and
I like how like he's
Yeah.
going through things too that he thinks might work. Like,
Yeah,
So if
exactly.
he starts
Right.
off
Right.
the way we've seen him start off before,
Yeah.
and it doesn't work with her,
Right.
right? The little girl's
Right.
smart. She's like, "No, you're scary. I'm out of here."
Uh-huh.
And then he's like,
wait.
"But I can fix the thing on your
Yeah.
face.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I'm crying."
yeah, he's just trying
Uh-huh.
everything.
Yep, and it ends up working.
It's again, that was one of those moments where I'm thinking it was so perfect, because he's a predator, but he's not even a human, right? He's like this evil creature trying to figure out, like, okay, how am I going to work this out?
Yeah.
And you see like it's just his evil gears turning. Yeah. Really good. Really
Great.
good.
I gotta say, I love the fact that like Bill Skarsgård, when we get like not the CGI, like the of him acting.
Yeah.
I love how he gives Pennywise that like drooling effect. Like,
drooling,
he is
yeah.
literally just a hungry
Yeah.
being.
That's right.
Yeah.
It's just like
Yeah.
dying of hunger. Like
Yes.
when he first meets Georgie,
Uh-huh.
and then when he's counting with that girl,
Yes.
he's like 1, 2, and then he just like
Uh-huh.
blank face and starts drooling.
yeah. I know.
Yeah.
He's
Yep.
just like, I'm hungry.
Yeah.
Yeah, that blank face shot, I would bet was the new cast and crew's homage to when the first kill that we see in the original It, where the girl's in her backyard with all the sheets.
Yeah.
And you see the sheets flapping, and first he's smiling. He's like, ah! And the sheets go over him, and it comes back, and he's just deadpan.
Yeah.
Tim Curry's just doing that, like, "Bleh."
Yeah.
And then it
Yeah.
cuts, and then the mom comes out.
Yeah.
Where are you? And, you know,
They
she's
did a
dead,
lot
yeah.
more in It Chapter 1 too, with his eyes.
Yeah,
remember
yeah,
how they
yeah,
were,
the
like,
cat
just
eyes.
pushing his eyes around all weird
Yep.
and stuff, which
Yeah.
was creepy, but like at the same time I was just kind of
Yeah.
I just want to see Bill's own
Yeah.
eyes, please. you
Right.
know? And then they did that, and then Chapter 2 you really get to see his own
Yeah.
eyes. So
Yeah.
So I can't complain now.
Yeah.
But that was kind of off-putting to me.
Yeah, the crooked eye.
Yeah.
Where they
yeah.
start going like
Yeah.
Yeah.
off to the side.
They're looking. Yeah.
Like
yeah,
it's weird. It's a creepy effect, but
Yep.
you're just kind of like, eh.
Yep.
Yeah. Any other topics you wrote down?
Yeah. Let's see. We've
alright.
covered a few already,
Alright.
actually.
Yeah.
But definitely, I definitely want to see what you guys thought of Bill Skarsgård, Tim Curry, and
Yeah.
if you had a favorite.
Mm-hmm.
I know Bill Skarsgård got the benefit of CGI, but
Yep.
I'm curious if
Yeah.
like there's still one clown that you're just like that's my Pennywise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's hard. It's really hard to say. They're so different,
Oh, I know.
They really are different.
Yeah.
But I for me, I'd have to go back to Tim Curry. I think, but just because that was the original.
Yeah.
That's the one that
did
made
it
me
for
afraid
you.
of clowns.
Yep.
Yep. Yep.
And Bill just solidified that feeling.
Yep. I hate to ride your coattails,
Yeah.
Pete, but I think I play this card a lot, but I think it's super important. And any of our listeners out there who have listened to more than one episode hear me say this every time. But one of the things about film that I find to be extremely important, and I'm going to go off on my George Lucas rant here in a minute.
Right,
But
right.
the film is important to me when I saw it. And so that, not to say that makes the film better or worse, but because I saw the first film when I saw it,
Yeah.
far more terrifying than seeing it as these ones now as a 41-year-old, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, having said that, the day before we went and saw part 2, I rewatched part 1, and I had chills going up and down my spine. And I thought part 1, it was weird because Peter and I and your brother went and saw it in the theater the first time, and it was good. But watching it the second time, where I was just by myself, it was
way
more.
different.
It really I got more of the effect, and I think this had to do with timing. I didn't know what the timing was going to be.
Yeah.
And so after having seen it the first time, then I got what the timing was, kind of like how they're going to show you things.
Gotcha.
Right?
Gotcha.
And I think that confused me on a subliminal level more. But now getting back to the original, I think that's why it was so frightening to me as a 12-year-old watching it the first time. The timing was perfect.
Yeah.
Like the way they kind of like, here's how we're going to lay out the characters, how we're going to kill people off, here's how we're going to build everything up.
Yeah.
And so I think that the new movies are far more visually, far more interesting.
Yeah.
But having said that, it's like this gets into, who's more terrifying, Darth Vader or Skeletor kind of thing.
Yeah.
There's no right answer. There's no wrong
That's
answer.
fair. Yeah.
But what I was going to get about the George Lucas thing was part of what pissed me off about the Star Wars restoration that I thought was so fucked is simply this. He, as a filmmaker, he wanted to make his films, right? He wanted it the way that people should have saw it.
Correct.
He gave off all his reasons, right? It's like I couldn't have done all of these things then, and this was the vision I had, but I can do them now. The problem is that he totally shit on the idea that we fell in love with those movies.
Yeah.
We fell in love with that version of those movies.
That experience.
And I'm echoing 10 million other Star Wars fans' comments that are just all over everything.
Yeah.
Is that we fell in love with that version.
Yeah.
That version of it.
Yeah.
And then when you change it, and then you change it again, and then you change it again.
And there's still,
Dude,
even just
don't
up
care.
to a few years ago,
I don't even care about all those changes. Yeah. When it went to Blu-ray or whatever.
Yeah,
right?
I just got the Blu-ray version a couple years ago, and I was like, "There's even new stuff even on this version."
Oh, geez.
There's
and
still,
that's
they still can't keep their
revisionist.
hands off of it.
And so the problem is it's under the context of you're going to revise the art, right?
Yeah.
But the problem is you're revising our history.
Yes.
And I don't remember that. I remember the other one.
Well, it's like what what it's like for me is it's like you have this favorite photo of your grandfather, and you're like, I want this photo in my wallet of my grandfather, and it's a little blurry and the color's a little off. Right. But that's how I love this photo. That's how I remember him. Yeah. And then somebody's like, "Oh, I recolored it and I digitized it and I made it sharper."
Yeah.
And you're like,
printed on better paper and it's glossy.
And you're like, "But it doesn't look like him." You know? And they're like, this is what he really would look like. And you're like, "Yeah, but I want to see my." And then he's not even letting you see your original photo. Right. Like they're just like, "Oh, we threw that one away. Sorry."
You're losing something in the process every time.
Big time,
easily.
Big time.
Yeah. And you're like, now it's fake though. It's not. That is not really the photo. Right. It's this is an animation of it.
Yeah.
This is probably not a very positive opinion, but I do think that a lot of time when a movie comes out, maybe we just don't have people like messing with their movie again.
Yeah.
Like, whatever the final release is, just leave it as that.
That was that whole thing in the 90s that Lucas and freaking
was it
Spielberg went to Congress and said, look, you can't be, because all the big studios were coloring everything and they were destroying the original prints. And then they ended up being the two biggest culprits for destroying the original shit.
I know. It's the total irony of that is just,
they became the enemies they hated.
Yeah.
Yes.
They really did.
Yeah. Man. Like, no, you have to preserve it unless it's our stuff.
Yeah.
Let us fuck it up.
Just wait.
Don't let the studio fuck it up.
Steven Spielberg's coming out with Jaws, and he's redoing the whole shark in CGI.
Yep.
And it'll be Schindler's List in color.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It'll be the chrome edition of Schindler's List.
Well, I keep hearing this from people, and I keep waiting for it to happen. But I know that at some point, because Lucas is like, oh, the original negatives of Star Wars are just all destroyed now,
right?
And you're like, really?
Yeah.
And so
I never believe that.
I think there is going to be that day. He might have to kick the bucket. I don't know, but there is going to be that day where Disney is going to be like, we're releasing Star Wars the way it was in the 70s, and
and here's
everybody's going to eat that shit up.
And you know what? Look at the restoration they did on The Godfather.
Yeah,
that is incredible, and they changed nothing.
Yeah.
All they did was they restored the original elements and spent $1 gazillion doing it, and it's so fantastic. Well, that's what everyone wanted.
Look at freaking Ridley Scott with Blade Runner, man.
Yes.
I can go buy the Blu-ray of Blade Runner, and it's got 5 versions of Blade Runner on it.
Right.
And so if I want to see the original without any enhancement, there it is. And then there's Ridley Scott saying like, here, you can watch whatever version you want, but this is the version that I like.
Yep.
That's the last one on here.
That's funny, right? Because he was also super guilty of that with Legend, right?
Yeah.
Legend came out in 3 different. There's like the TV edited version. There was the European release version, which had all that extra stuff in it and a totally different score. And then the American version, which had the Tangerine
Tangerine Dream.
Was it Tangerine Dream? Yeah. Had their score on it, and so you've got 3 like radically different movies,
films,
for all different. But
he's like, here they all are.
3. You just have them all.
Yeah, why not? Right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I think I can totally see Disney doing that.
Yeah, they will. Yeah. They will. They're just
I doubt they're lost, right?
Yep.
Oh, right. Yeah.
They're just like
Still waiting to see what happens with Willow, right? I mean, that's like one of those big question marks.
That's due for a remake.
Did he sell that too then when he sold Lucasfilm? He kept it.
That was one of the 2 things he kept, right?
What was
you can have Star Wars, but I want Willow.
And, THX.
THX.
Oh, for sure.
In American Graffiti.
Yeah.
Oh, I like the American Graffiti.
That's pretty good.
Because I mean, they got all the Skywalker sound. They got all of freaking ILM.
Yeah.
Indiana Jones, though, I think is still Paramount.
Yeah.
And Spielberg.
Yeah.
Co-op.
Yeah.
Well, what do we know?
Yeah. Well, I think we'll get it. We'll get it eventually. Yeah. We'll finally be able to see Han Solo shoot Greedo. That's all I want. I just want that.
Gosh. No, but don't you like when he steps on Jabba's tail?
Oh,
I mean, I needed that so bad.
Yeah.
Have you guys seen the fans remake version of Obi-Wan and Darth Vader fights?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yep.
So that's where we're gonna be soon. Where fans can contribute things that are far better sometimes than the actual image or the vision. I mean,
true. I know what you're talking about now.
Yeah, have you seen it yet?
Yeah, I did see that. Yep.
That was great.
Yeah, it was killer.
Yeah, because that is one thing. You go back to the original, and you're just like, he was just Alec
Guinness. Old guys, just like
they've got like their little pen flashlights.
Yeah. Because like you see Darth Vader in that, and then you see him in Empire, and he's like way better fighter. It's like he trained.
Yeah. Well, he had to be, man.
Yeah.
Come on.
Well, that's so funny because that was what was the one newer film where they go back in time and show him, and he's like a total badass.
Highlander.
No, and not Conan with a green and red dildo. No, the Star Wars movie.
That's a meme. That's a meme.
Like the prequels.
GIF.
Yeah. What the one prequel? What?
Revenge of the Sith.
No, not the prequels.
No, not the prequels.
Of the new movies that were the one-offs.
Rogue One.
Yeah. In Rogue One, where we finally see Darth Vader, and he's a total badass.
He's a total badass.
That's what we all wanted.
Yeah,
right?
I love that scene. But then when you go back and watch New Hope, it's like, what happened?
Yes.
Did he have just like a
he just
stroke and
took a tranquilizer pill or something?
He's been hanging out at Mustafar, breathing the fumes.
Yeah.
He's like, ugh.
Something wrong with my breathing apparatus.
I have enough power to throw this old man into a pit, and that will kill me.
Yeah.
Because if you go back and watch Rogue One, whether you like the movie or not,
I loved it. I loved it.
That last what is it, like few minutes?
Yeah.
That is Darth Vader truly terrifying.
Right.
Totally.
Right.
That is terrifying.
For me, that was the promise that we were kind of supposed to have Darth Vader for.
Yeah.
And I think in Empire,
he kind of gets there.
On the catwalk and everything, he's pretty badass there.
Yep.
But not really anywhere else.
Yeah.
He's kind of a whipping boy to Tarkin, and
even the prequels too, man. He's so freaking annoying in the prequels.
Dude. Yeah, that's
the
prequels are.
Oh.
Not my mommy.
Yeah.
Not my girlfriend.
That was a pretty good impression.
Thank you. Yeah. It's burned into my head.
See, this is because we love it so much that we have to be.
And it's great because we just got done telling Mr. Corleone that we don't say anything negative on our podcast.
Never.
We always do positive things.
Unless we're talking about room 237.
Yeah. Here we are just unloading. What else can we complain about?
As we digress. Yes.
What else about Highlander didn't you like?
Yeah. Why haven't they come out with a real soundtrack?
Yeah.
Dang it.
Jeez.
That's my only complaint.
Oh, there's a ton of movies that need to have a good soundtrack.
Yep.
They finally did it for Ghostbusters. Ghostbusters had like the soundtrack where it was like 10 songs or
Yeah,
something,
yeah,
but
yeah,
none of
yeah.
the score.
That's right.
And I had to go to like this guy at a Comic-Con to get the score.
Yep.
You know?
Oh, weird.
And it was like $50. It was like 10
course.
years ago. But I was like, I got the Ghostbusters score.
Because he sat there and meticulously ripped it all and unmixed all the vocals out and everything.
Right.
Yep. Yep.
But now they're re-releasing the score. So it's like,
that's great.
About time.
That's great. Yeah, they're starting to ramp up for part 3,
Yeah.
right? 'Cause, I mean,
Yeah.
3 got greenlit. So
Yeah, that is happening.
that it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
And everyone's coming back.
Sounds
that
like
can,
it.
right?
It sounds like it. Yeah.
Yep. Yep.
Um,
Be interesting because Rick Moranis hasn't done anything in freaking ages.
no kidding.
Oh man, I would love to see Rick
He'd be the
Moranis
one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I get why he quit acting.
Yeah,
Because
yeah,
personal stuff. But
Yep.
he was so good.
He was great. He was.
Okay.
Yeah. Who brought the dog?
I am the keymaster. Where's the gatekeeper?